Hi, this will be lesson 5.4. We're going to be talking about dividing decimals. So far you've learned about long division with whole numbers, and now we're going to be putting the decimals in. So let's get started. Okay, so our objectives for today are I can divide decimals by whole numbers, and I can divide decimals by decimals. We're still in the same standard NS3, fluently add, subtract, multiply, and divide multi-digit decimals using the standard algorithm for each operation. An algorithm is just another word for having steps in the process. And we've been using Does McDonald's Serve Burgers? So those are our algorithm steps. I'm going to minimize myself so we can see the full screen. And let's get started. Dividing decimals by whole numbers. Dividing decimals is similar to dividing whole numbers. There's not much that's going to be different in this lesson, except that we have a decimal point. The placement of the decimal point in the answer, the quotient, is directly above where the decimal is placed in the inside number, the dividend. So for example, here's a word problem. A high school track is 9.76 meters wide. It is divided into 8 lanes of equal width. How wide is each lane? So how wide is each one of these little lanes right here? This size, how wide is this? Right? Lane 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lane 7, 8, 6. How wide are they? So it's a division problem. So it's 9.76 divided by 8. Okay. So we set up a long division problem. 9.76, the first number is always on the inside. The second number is always on the outside. So step 1, place the decimal point directly above where the decimal is in the dividend. Remember, the dividend is the inside number. The divisor is the outside number. So we got a decimal right here, and we're going to place that in our quotient right there. So do that first before you do any dividing. Just put the decimal where it goes. Okay? Now, step 2, divide as usual using Does McDonald's Serve Burgers over and over again until your remainder is 0 or your number repeats. Or if the word problem tells you to round to a certain place value, then you would stop there. So there's our Does McDonald's Serve Burgers? Yay. So we start with does. That's divide. So we're going to divide the 8 into what? Into the 9, right? So 8 into 9 goes 1 time. If I go twice, I go over, right? Because 2 times 8 is 16. That's too high. So 8 times 1 goes into 9. So now I multiply. That's my McDonald's. I multiply what? 8 times 1. And that gives me 8. Now I do serve, subtract. 9 minus 8 is 1. And then I do burgers, which is bring down. What am I bringing down? Did you say a 7? Then you are correct. Bring down your 7. And now we do it over again. We do Does McDonald's Serve Burgers? So we're going to divide 8 into 17. How many 8s go into 17? Well, 2, right? 2 times 8 is 16. If I go any higher than that, I go over. So 2. And then McDonald's, I multiply. 2 times 8 is 16. And then I serve, or I subtract. 17 minus 16 is 1. And then I do burgers, I bring down. Okay, so I'm going to bring down my 6 this time. So now I do it over again. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. 8 divided into 16 goes twice. Multiply, 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract. 16 minus 16 is 0. And then my last step would be to bring down, but there's nothing more to bring down. So my answer then is 1.22, or 1 and 22 hundredths. That's the length, or the width, I should say, of each track lane. Okay. Do another one, dividing decimals by whole numbers. Aerobics classes cost $153.86 for 14 sessions. What is the fee for one session? Usually when you see the keyword fee for one, you're going to be dividing something. So we're going to divide 153.86, it's $153.86, divided by 14 sessions. So how do we do this? Long division. The first number's on the inside and the second number's on the outside. Then we place the decimal point directly above where the decimal is in the dividend. So we see it's right here. So we're going to place our decimal right there in our answer. So do that first. Then you can do your does McDonald's serve burgers over and over again until you get a remainder of 0, or your number repeats, or the problem tells you when to stop. So we're going to take 14 into 15 because we don't want to take it into 153 because 14 will fit into 15. So I'm going to start my answer over the 5. So how many 14s go into 15? Just 1, correct? So we put the 1 over the 5 and then we multiply. 14 times 1 is 14. Now we subtract. 15 minus 14 is 1. And then we bring down. Bring down your 3 and we do it over again. Does McDonald's serve burgers? Does. Divide. Ooh, be careful on this one. Will 14 divide into 13? No, because 14 is bigger than 13. So we have to put a 0 up there. Don't get messed up with that. We can't just bring down the next number. We have to put a 0. So 14 goes into 13 0 times. Now we multiply. McDonald's. 14 times 0 should be 0, right? Yep, and then we subtract. And we get 13 minus 0 is 13. And now we can bring down the 8. If we didn't do the 0 here, up here, and we didn't do the 0 here, and we just brought down the 8 next to the 1 and the 3, we're going to miss the fact that we need a 0 here. And we're going to start putting a number in here instead of the 0. So you got to make sure you do that. Okay, how many 14s go into 138? Well, if I don't know that, which I don't off the top of my head, I can estimate. So I can say, well, 14 is about 15 and 2 15s is about 30 and 4 would be 60 and 6 would be 90. So I'm going to go pretty high. So let's try 14 times 8. So you got to try some things. You can't just guess. 4 times 8 is 2, and I'm going to carry my 3. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 more is 11. That's 112. Can I get closer to 138 than 112? Well, the only way to find out is to try the 9. Now here's the thing. You'll never go past a 9 when you're putting a number up there. If you do, you have too many digits, right? And you did something wrong and didn't make a high enough number earlier. So never go past 9. If that happens, you've done something wrong, you should go back and start again. 4 times 9 is 36. So you put down the 6 and you carry the 3. 9 times 1 is 9 plus 3 more. 10, 11, 12, 126. So 9 does work. So we're going to use 9 up here on the top. So let me clear my drawings. Let's put the 9 in there. 14 goes into 138 9 times. Now I multiply. 14 times 9, we just did, was 126, and now we serve or subtract. 8 minus 6 is 2, 3 minus 2 is 1, so 12. And now I bring down my 6. And I already know that 14 goes into 126 exactly 9 times because I just did it. So 9 is my other answer. Now 14 times 9, it's 126. I serve, I subtract, and I get 0. I'm done. I have no remainder anymore. So how much does it cost for one session? It costs $10.99 for one aerobics session. Okay, I have a song for you guys.
Hey, yo, we back at it again. This one's
Hold on just a sec. I want to make it louder if it'll go louder. Oh yeah. No, it won't go louder during my video. Huh. Okay. But let's press play. Hopefully you can hear this.
kids who say they can't do math. Feeling on the track. Yeah, you can. Nothing can stop you, so just listen up.
Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. I'm going to teach you a little something about long division.
First divide these two numbers. Then multiply 6 times 6. Subtract 36 minus 36. Divide.
Multiply and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back.
Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. This one's for all the students with the dedication, sharp pencils. They always pay attention. They work hard, man. They never quit. When there's a problem, this kid can solve it. 7 fits into 49 7 times. 7 times 7 is 49. 49 minus 49 is 0. Do it again. Divide.
Multiply and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back.
Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. You want a Rari, but can't divide? What other job can you get besides working fries? You gotta work so hard that when they ask where you live, you point to the hills and say, go all the way up. I never gave up. Now I'm all grown up. You see, when it comes to math, man, I know what's up. This one's for all the students with the dedication, sharp pencils. They always pay attention. They work hard, man. They never quit. Where there's a problem, these kids can solve it.
Multiply and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back.
Hey, yo, mad props to anyone who saw the video last time. Thank you so much. You're amazing. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.
Okay, there we go. All right, let's move on with our slides. Hopefully that, oh, don't want to do that again, even though that would be fun. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, all right, it's your turn now to give division with decimals a try. See you in a moment. Okay, welcome back. That should have been a couple minutes for you while you did those problems. If you didn't do the problems yet, then of course, you're seeing me a second later, or you're hearing me a second later. Okay, dividing a decimal by a decimal. So far, we haven't had a decimal on the outside number, have we? Now we will. When when dividing a decimal by a decimal, first change the divisor to a whole number by multiplying by a power of 10. When multiplying by a power of 10, this moves the decimal to the right. So then once you've multiplied by the powers of 10, then multiply the dividend by the same power of 10. That's the inside number. This moves the decimal to the right. Okay, so let's see how this works in action. Ella uses 5/10 of a pound of raspberries in each raspberry cake that she makes. How many cakes can Ella make with 3.25 pounds of raspberries? Well, it's a division problem, right? Okay, we're going to divide 3.25 by 0.5. So long division. Which one goes on the inside? Right, 3.25. So with these word problems, figuring out which number goes on the inside is one of the harder parts for students. And then the outside number is 0.5. Notice how there's a decimal in the outside number now. Okay, what do we have to do? We have to get rid of the outside decimal before we can divide. So move the decimal on the outside number, the divisor, to the right, as many places as necessary to move it to the end of the number. So we're actually multiplying it by a power of 10, in this case 10, to get rid of the decimal, because when you multiply by 10, your decimal moves one place to the right. Then you move the dividend decimal the same number of, should say, places. So 0.5, I'm moving it one spot to the right to get rid of it. Now I have 5 point, right? And I can just, 5 point is really just 5. So that's what I wanted to do. But now I have to move the decimal on the inside number, the dividend, the same number of spaces. So I moved 1 to the right, so I'm going to move 1 to the right on the inside number. There we are. That's our new spot for our decimal. And then I can place my decimal point in my answer. So now that's the next step. Right away, put your decimal point right there. After you've moved it, put it in your answer right away. And then you divide. Okay, we'll go to the next screen. Now we're going to use, does McDonald's serve burgers over and over again until the remainder is 0 or the number repeats or the problem tells you to stop? So we're going to do this again. So divide, multiply, then subtract, bring it on down and bring it on back. Okay, so we're going to do does. We're going to divide 5 into 32. So I'm going to put my 6 over my 2 because I went into the whole 32 here. So 5 times 6 is 30. That's my multiply part. Now I bring my subtraction part up here and I go 32 minus 30, that's 2. And now burgers is bring down. I'm going to bring down my 5. And now I get to do it over again. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. So 5 goes into 25, 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. Subtract, 25 minus 25 is 0, and I'm done. I have a remainder of 0. My answer is 6.5. So that means Ella can make 6.25, 6.5, I'm sorry. She can make 6.5 pounds cakes, 6.5 cakes. You can't really make half a cake. So basically she can only make 6 cakes, right? The other half a cake you can't make. So Ella can make 6 full cakes and then half of another one, which she's not going to do. So you would answer that question. She can make 6 full cakes. Okay, let's try another one. Anthony spent $11.52 for some pens that were on sale for 72 cents. How many pens did Anthony buy? Okay, this is a division problem. I'd like you to pause the video, try the problem. You're going to put 11.52 on the inside and 0.72 on the outside. And then give this long division problem a try, then come back and press play and see if you can get this one correct. Okay, hopefully you paused and tried the problem, the division problem. So now let's solve it. So we have a decimal. So our first step is to move the decimal on the outside number, the divisor, to the right as many places as necessary to move it to the end of the number. Well, to get this decimal point here over to this spot is going to require how many jumps? 1, 2, right? So there's 1 jump and there's 2 jumps. So now the decimal is past the number 72. So now the number is just 72. Step 2 is to move the inside decimal, or I mean, this is still step 1A. Move the inside decimal also 2 spots. There we go. Now it's here. It was here, and now it's here. That's the same as multiplying both the dividend and the divisor by 100, a multiple of 10. Okay, now we do step 2. Place the decimal point directly above where the decimal is in the dividend. So make sure we put that for our answer. We get the decimal point right there. So now we just have to divide 72 into 1,152. See that? Okay, next slide will show us this. Divide as usual. Does McDonald's serve burgers over and over again? Here we go. 72 won't go into 1. 72 won't go into 11. 72 will go into 115. So I'm going to start my answer over the 5. How many 72s go into it? Well, if I don't know, I can guess, right? This is around 70. 2 70s is going to give me about 140, right? That's way too high. So I bet the answer is going to be 1. So yes, 1 times 72 is 72. Now I subtract 115 minus 72. That gives me 43. And now I do burgers. I bring down my 2. Okay, now is where we do trial and error again. How many 72s go into this big number, 432? Well, this is around 70. So if I did 4 times 70, that'd be 280. So I have to go way up higher than that. What if I try 70 times 8? That would give me 560. That's too high. So what if I tried 72 times 7? That's probably still going to be too high, but let's check and prove it to ourselves. 2 times 7 is 14. Carry the 1. 7 times 7 is 49 plus 1 is 50. So that's 504. That's over 432. So what if we tried 72 times 6? I have a feeling that might be over just a teeny bit. Let's see. 2 times 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 7 times 6 is 42 plus 1 is 43. Oh, look at that. It's exactly 432. So that's the number we'll use, 6. So we're going to put a 6 up there. And then we're going to multiply 6 times 72, and that should give us 432. And then we subtract, and we get 0. And we are done. There's nothing more to bring down. So our answer is, how many pens did Anthony buy? He bought 16 pens. Did you get that right? Hopefully you tried that. You should have gotten 16. Okay, you get to try some division with decimals and more decimals. Okay, welcome back. Let's look at some higher order thinking. Store A sells 12 bottles of water for $13.80. Store B sells 10 bottles of water for $11.80. Which store has the better buy? One store sells it for a higher price, store A, right? But you get 12 bottles out of it. Store B sells it for a little lower price, but you only get 10 bottles. We have to figure out the per bottle cost to know exactly how much we're paying. So that's a division problem. So store A and store B are going to be both division problems. So we're going to use long division. So the first one, store A, $13.80 divided by, what do you think? 12 bottles, yes. And then we start. How many 12s go into 13? Let's put our decimal point first. Now, how many 12s go into 13? 1. 12 times 1 is 12. 13 minus 12 is 1. Bring down my 8. How many 12s go into 18? Just 1 again. 1 times 12 is 12. 18 minus 12 is 6. And then I have to bring down my 0. How many 12s go into 60? Exactly 5. 5 times 12 is 60. 60 minus 60 is 0. I'm done. Store A costs $1.15 per bottle. Okay. Store B now, they charge $11.80 for 10 bottles. So now we put our decimal and we divide. 10 goes into not 1, but 10 will go into 11 one time. 10 times 1 is 10. 11 minus 10 is 1. Bring down the 8. How many 10s go into 18? Just 1. 1 times 10 is 10. 18 minus 10 is 8, and I bring down my 0. How many 10s go into 80? 8 tens. 8 times 10 is 80. 80 minus 80 is 0. I'm done. Store B's bottles cost $1.18 each bottle. So which store would be cheaper to buy from? I hope you said store B. No, I hope you said store A. Which one is it? I hope you said store A. Yes. The water at store A is a better buy because $1.15 is less than $1.18 per bottle. Okay, that was a focus on higher order thinking. Okay, you get to try one of these types of problems, and I will see you back in a minute. Okay, welcome back. Your homework is on Google Classroom, and I will say goodbye. So have a good day. Bye.